Caid. Tonight's guest is Master Avery Shaw from the Kingdom of Ansteorra. And returning to us once again, featuring a live performance by Viscountess Syele Thorsdottir from the Kingdom of the West. Me, I'm your announcer, Master Bjorn of the Northern Sea. And here's your host, Master Laertes McBride.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Oh, and that's my ringtone. I hope you enjoyed it, because I'm not going to now silence my phone. So anyway, thanks for joining us. We're off to an auspicious start, as you can tell. One quick note before I bring Bjorn in is just a reminder that the Royal Court of Hansa and Catherine, their Majesties, is scheduled for Saturday, March 27th at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So feel free to join it. There'll be details, and the Zoom link will be in the Kingdom Facebook group. So keep an eye out for that. I believe the event's already up there if you want to mark that you're going, and you'll get all the updates as they come along. Now, as we'll go ahead and bring in my friend, Mr. Bjorn, and he'll be all right. There. Hello, Bjorn. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm okay. Had a little Johnny Cash to kick off the evening, so yeah, can't be any worse.
Well, you know, we are talking to an Ansteorran today, so.
That's true. And they could have used a burning ring of fire this past week, but we'll talk to Avery when he comes on about that. Oh, you know, one of the things I noticed happened this past weekend on the Kingdom Rapier Facebook page is there were posts out there of people sharing their favorite melee moments and moments that made them laugh the most fighting rapier. And it's been awesome just watching the thread and watching my friends share their favorite moments and being able to relive them vicariously through their words. So I think it's pretty awesome. I think everyone's jonesing to get back together and have these opportunities to create more of those moments together.
I was able to participate in that thread since I've been fortunate to be a part of the rapier community on and off in Caid since I moved here. As a matter of fact, that was another thing that was floating around was a picture of that Caid Rapier Open from 1998, where all of us, were there standing and being able to be pictured. So many great people there, and it was just been phenomenal to have those memories available.
I'm the one that's being held, the small child, back in 1998. No. Anyway, so that's awesome, and I encourage everyone to go out there and share those memories. Maybe start a thread on the Kingdom page and talk about what really are those memories that you cherish and make the SCA special for you. So, speaking of special memories, what do you have for us for arts and sciences this week? I'm getting better with my transitions, right?
You really are. I mean, it's a seamless and smooth transition. So, well done, you, sir. The first thing I wanted to talk about is, we are starting to get into a time of year where, although there's still distancing and there are still many things that are in place to secure us and keep us safe, we still have a few things happening where the toe is being dipped into presentations and the like, not within the society, but things on the outside that are sort of tangential to us. One of those things is the first thing we're going to discuss today, and it is a Facebook event from the Canton of the White Way. For those of you that think that sounds familiar, you'd be correct. The Canton of White Way is Manhattan, New York, in the Kingdom of the East. And they are very fortunate, and they actually have a guest who will be giving a presentation. So a gentle from Atlantia is there, and they're going to be doing a presentation for their Saturday Night Solar, which, even though it's their Saturday Night Solar, on Pacific time, it's going to be Saturday, February 27th, 5 p.m. Pacific to 8 p.m. Pacific. And it is going to be talking about the National Museum of Korea, located in Seoul, South Korea. And it talks about when it opened its doors and a way to interpret traditional Korean history, but in a contemporary way. And one of the things that they've been doing, because this facility hasn't even been open 20 years yet, they have worked really hard at digitizing so much of their collection. Now, it's not going to be possible to look at everything in great detail, but Epi, who is the armiger from Atlantia, will be taking people through and giving a highlight tour of the permanent collection, and also go over some of the special exhibitions that are going to be available. So for those of you that have an Eastern persona, a persona of Asian descent, or if you're just curious or interested about Korean history, then I recommend this Saturday on the 27th giving it a look, because it's not often that you get a chance to perhaps have those things available. And the fact that we have someone hosting from the Kingdom of the East in Manhattan, of all places, it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. And so I recommend it wholeheartedly. The second thing I wanted to talk about is we are wrapping up this month for Black History in our show. Now, admittedly, for the society, this means people of color, also folks of African descent. And I talked about the eastern part of the African continent last week, and this time I want to talk about the West. So from Bruminate.com, they have a special talking about Ghana, in particular, the Kingdom of Ghana, which lasted from 500 of the Common Era all the way into the 13th century. And it talks about the empires and the wealth and all of the things that happened in now the modern nations of Mali and Mauritania, and what wonderful things they have found and uncovered and been able to take hold of for their collections. Talking about the government and the military, and also how Ghana fell and Mali rose, and plus a lot of artifacts, and how those goods and services were exchanged between the European countries and the African continent. So it is, I think it's a wonderful resource. And so for folks that are so inclined to be interested in taking a look at that, augmenting your knowledge of people of Africa during the times of the Middle Ages, I could not be more enthused with this ability that we have to see these things. That's been one of the best things about all of this digital information that is being cataloged and archived online, is that for those of us that may never have had the opportunity to visit these museums, go to these locales, some of them being on registries where not just anybody can even go, and really get a chance to sink our teeth into some of the more finite aspects, some of the minutiae, if you will. It's just a fascinating thing. So those are the two websites for this week. I hope that you get a chance to take a look at them both. I think they're wonderful. And thank you so much for being here for the art segment.
I wasn't paying attention when I was working on the graphics for you. I would have sworn Saturday Night Solar would have been in the middle of the day. I'm like,
we're 3 hours different from them.
No, but they have solar in the name, so wouldn't it be? Isn't that confusing for me?
Isn't that the city that never sleeps, though? It is the White Way. It is the canton of White Way. So,
okay, I'll deal with it. I'm just saying it's confusing for people like me.
I'm just doing my best, man.
Now we're going to get nasty grams from the east. Anyway, so you get the nice letters. I get the nasty grams.
I think you're just more intimidating. That's what that is.
Yes, my sheer physical imposing presence. So speaking of a sheer imposing physical presence, who do we have on next?
We have indeed a most impressive personage in the form of Master Avery Shaw. And so we are going to have Avery here to talk with us about it's not an organization. It's not even an entity. It's hard to say what the Lions are, and which is why we're going to be asking. But for me, they've always been like this otherworldly group of people that just embodied what it was to be an Ansteorra and then some. But we're looking forward to hearing what Avery has to say about it.
Thank you for that. Anyway, let's bring him on. It's one of those mornings. Well, see, it's not even morning. It's one of those evenings. Oh, there you are. How are you? I'm all confused with the solar thing now.
No problem.
It's solar.
Hi.
Hey, Avery. How are you?
Much better than I was last week.
That's true. Let's go ahead and kind of address that because it's a pretty major event. So you're in Ansteorra. You're in where? Well, I know where you're at, but tell people where you're at.
Yeah, I am in the barony of Bringalad, which mundanely is Austin, Texas. And I've been here for 26 years. My lady has been here since 1984. And we saw temperatures she's never seen in since moving here in 84. We got down one day to like 3.
Ooh.
Which, yeah. And over a foot of snow. And it just was... We're not built for that. We got personally lucky. We lost power for about 12 hours at the very beginning of everything. And other than that, we had power, we had internet, we had, lights and heat. We have gas fireplace, gas stove. Sunday morning, we lost hot water. We still had water, but it just wasn't hot. And then Wednesday, we lost all water. We got water back Saturday morning, and then we still don't have hot water. I have gotten a hold of the plumber. They're like, yeah, we'll get to you, but we average 80 calls a week and we're at 1,200 things in the queue right now. So considering what other people had to deal with, I'll deal with it. But yay SCA skills. Hey, look, solar shower, we can do that. But just because it's Texas, 4 days ago, we were 13 degrees. Today, it was 71.
It's crazy.
But we're okay.
So you're done with winter. Winter's done. You had your week.
Oh, boy.
And then pretty much someone that's watching it's negative 20 right now.
Yeah.
But
if you are used to negative 20, 3 is not bad. When the coldest, like I said, 26 years being in Austin, the coldest I've ever seen is like we got down to 25 once, maybe.
Right.
So yeah, we ain't built for this crap.
Now, overall, because lots of friends across the kingdom, how's the kingdom faring from border to border? Kind of everything thawed.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much thawed out. I know I saw some pictures from guys up north in Oklahoma City and that area, and they were mid 60s today. It's ridiculous as far as the weather. It's just like roll the dice. What do we get this week? But I have been absolutely amazed watching the reactions from people. People who lost power, lost water. Had. It's Texas. They do things like, for us, the reason why we had a water heater go bad is because they mounted it. It's an on-demand water heater. They mounted it on the outside of the house because it's Texas. There's never going to be a problem with it freezing. Oh, well. They put pipes up through attics, and I know multiple people who had their pipes freeze and burst in their attics and suddenly had waterfalls when it was still 17 degrees outside. And watching the kingdom come together to support each other. There's a couple of people I know who have just been over backwards. I'll name one. Sir Absalom apparently has driven all over Fort Worth or Dallas, helping people get their plumbing actually functional again. And that's just one out of lots and lots and lots of people. It's just been a wonderful reminder in some levels of, oh yeah, the part of the reason that I still play in the SCA is because the people in the SCA can be amazing and take care of each other in ways that I just are insane and wonderful and in all the best ways.
So just a little briefly, before we get into the meat of the conversation this evening. So how long have you been in the SCA, and how did you kind of get involved?
I started off in 91, 92, somewhere on there. I was actually living in Sacramento, California at the time, and a good friend poked me and said, "Hey, I'm dating this guy who does something, this game I think you'd really like." And then come to find out who she was dating was the Prince of Sinagua, and or had just stepped down as Prince of Sinagua, Phelan Bytor. And she drugged me to an event. My very first event was, if I remember correctly, Alden of Wolverton stepping down as Prince of Sinagua, and I think Havek stepping up. And I've actually run into Havek at like Gulf Wars and Penzic over the years since then. But that I think was in the 92. And then I moved to Texas, and I lived in Houston. And my mom, I was living with my mom and my stepfather, and their house was like 2-3 miles from Texas Ren Fair. And so I went because I moved in October, and the SCA had a demo group. And I was like, oh, hey, I know those guys, and started hanging out with them. And I started getting armor together so I could fight. But I was from the West, early 90s. The only fighting was armored combat. And I decided I really didn't like getting hit by large men with sticks. I'm a wimp. I admit freely, I don't like pain. But I was now an Ansteorra, and there was this thing you could do that it let you fight, but did not involve massive bruising on a regular basis. And at the time, the rapier fighters dressed amazingly better than the heavy fighters did. And, hey, when you're in your early 20s, looks matter. And I started fencing and ended up at a tournament about 6 months after I started fencing. There was a young lady there who I challenged. It was a challenge tournament. You have to fight. You go up and challenge everybody. And first time I'd ever seen a female white scarf. I'd met Dons. I'd never met a Donian before. And I walked up and asked her to dance. And she said, sure, and beat the crap out of me because she'd been fighting for 10 years. I've been fighting for 6 months. And Gwyneth's just mean. And we started dating about a month and a half later. And that was November 5th, 1994 was when our anniversary date, and we've been together ever since. And so I ended up here in Austin, and yeah, so blame her.
And you've been like a landed baron and right?
Done a few things. Gwyneth and I were Baron and Baroness of Bringalod from February of 2008 till February of 2011. I've been the Kingdom. I was the second Kingdom Cut and Thrust Marshal. I've been Kingdom Rapier Marshal. I've been a Royal Herald. Until this reign, because this reign is so weird. Jason and Margarita have been crowned. I think we're almost at 1 year now. And God love them. But until then, every single crown of Ansteorra since 1997, at least once during their reign, I was their herald. I like the term stunt heraldry. I'm loud, I'm obnoxious, and I can get people's attention. So periodically I just get grabbed. And then last year I was Kingdom Seneschal. I stepped into it, into the job a month and a half before COVID came down. And they lied to me because the job had nothing to do with what they told me it was going to do. I wasn't aware I was going to be, Seneschal for the apocalypse. And I think I did some good things. And, I'm me, and sometimes I put my foot in my mouth. And I stepped down in November. And now I get to sit back and watch everybody else do things. So
right. Well,
I miss my friends.
I didn't know that being loud and obnoxious was were qualities in a job, because man, they put me to work here. But anyway, so the reason we asked you on the show today is a little bit less than 3 years ago, they opened the Order of the Cordis here in Caid, and it was an award that's given out no more than once a reign, and it's to recognize people that embody the ideals of the kingdom. And it's fairly new. There's 4 members right now in the order, and we thought it would be a good opportunity to reach out to kingdoms that also have unique and special awards in their pantheon of awards, and talk to them and see what makes it special for their kingdom. And no one else was available, so I thought I'd call you to have you talk about the Order of the Lions of Ansteorra, Defenders of the Dream. And kind of, I'll read right quick just from the charter, just to save you a moment. It's basically it's an anonymous award that the crown of Ansteorra considers to a person that considers the most to the ideals and milieu of the society as a whole, and who serves as an inspiration to others. So, what can you tell us about being because I know you have some cool things you can do too as a Lion of Ansteorra. So, what can you tell us about the order?
The order, the Lions of Ansteorra are something I'm still not sure it's real that I got named. My interpretation of it was that the Lions of Ansteorra are the ones who are doing it right. That if you have somebody new who is not sure what's going on or how to behave, you point them at a line and say, do it like that person over there. It's funny. About 6 months before I was made a member of this order, I had somebody ask me what the Lions were. And the best description, without going into any other stuff, was they're the single name people. If you say the name in the kingdom of Ansteorra, if you say the name Robin, or if you say Tyvar, or if you say Yolo, or you say Inman, or Octavia, every single person in the kingdom knows exactly who you're talking about. They are the ones that theoretically they set the bar. And it's weird though, because there's also the part of it is that the crowns are the ones who name them. And the crowns are allowed to, just like Caid's award, they're allowed 1 per reign, no more. But there's no other qualifications other than it is who the crown thinks that this person embodies what they want the SCA to be. And I admit freely, there have been some lines, just like every award in the SCA, there's been some lines that have been made over the years that I sort of go, really? Okay, well, I guess for that crown, that's right. And Connell and Miguel, who were the crowns who made me a member of the Order of the Lion, it was sort of because I'd only had the conversation about the single name thing with Gwyneth. It was, we were on a car trip to an event when that happened. And 6 months later, we're at coronation, and Connell and Miguel stand there, and Miguel says, this person, is who we feel embodies Ansteorra, that they are the face of the kingdom. And then he just said Avery. And it was like, oh, I guess I am one of those now, aren't I? Okay. And the idea is, like I said, do it right. Don't, try not to embarrass the kingdom. Mistress Ari, who is a Lion of Atenvelt, has the wonderful thing of, her rules. Rule 1, don't look like ass. Rule 2, don't make kingdom look like ass. Rule 3, don't be that guy. Rule 4, be that guy. And yeah, I guess that's the job description now, is be that guy in a good way, not in the bad. But things happen. So we do our best.
So, there's a couple of privileges the order has. Can
Yes.
you talk about what those are?
There's one main one. There is the fact that at coronation, when the crown steps down, the queen steps down and she gives her crown to the roses to hold on to. The king steps down and he puts his crown to the knights. The sword of state is given to the lions. Technically, the sword of state does not belong to the kingdom of Ansteorra. It's actually the personal property of, I think, Master Kenrick, who is a lion, and it is on long-term loan to the kingdom. But that sword, while the king wields it and the king is responsible for it when there's a king, my understanding, the interpretation we've always been given is it belongs to the lions. And when guarding the crown, theoretically, it's a member of the Order of the Chivalry is the one who's allowed to hold the sword of state to guard the crown. Well, the lions are allowed to do it as well, which is sort of on the Queen's side. We have the Queen's Champion sword, which is members of the Order of the White Scarf are allowed, or the current Queen's Champion, if they're not a member of the Order of the White Scarf, are allowed to hold it. And there was this run at Pennsic one year when there were like 2 or 3 of us who suddenly realized, wait, we can hold both. And so we'd run up and stand there with both swords for a few minutes, and it was very silly. But the big one we're allowed to do, we are allowed to enter court unsummoned, which means we can walk in and interrupt things. As has been pointed out by a couple of crowns, we have the right to enter court. This does not mean we have the right to speak once we get there. But generally, as long as you're not being, a twit about it, if I come in and say, Your Majesty, I would, use my privilege as a lion and I would speak in your court, 99% of the time, the crowns are going to say, okay, speak. But everyone else theoretically has to be invited. We're allowed to join in whenever we feel the need.
Oh, well, that's awesome. It's a good power to wield, right?
It leads to some interesting things. I mean, you can do a lot of court shtick with it, which is fun. When suddenly there's 5 lions walking in together in a court, even if the crown knows what's going on, you get that split second where they're like, did I screw up? Right. Why are they coming in now? Because part of the job that I've been told as a lion, part of our job is periodically to take the crown aside and go, really? That might not be the best thing you could do, Your Majesty. It also leads to some interesting, because I have friends. I tend to play more on an inter-kingdom level these days, and I have friends in a bunch of different places. Pennsic, Pennsic. So a month and a half after I was made a lion, a very dear friend was being made a member of the Order of Defense, and I was asked to speak for her as a pelican. And the Queen of the East at the time, Countess Fortune, who is fabulous and wonderful, I talked to her before, and I said, look, I have this idea, but it's a little bit of shtick, but I want you to know about it before I do it so I don't get killed. And she sort of arched an eyebrow at it, and I explained the rights of a lion in the kingdom of Ansteorra, and she's like, but this is the East. I said, yeah, I know. That's why I want to basically walk up and say, Your Majesty, in my kingdom, I have the right to enter court whenever. This is not my kingdom. May I have your permission? And she laughed. But when I stood up and started talking in the court, there was this interesting silence in the Eastern court of, who is this guy and why is he speaking without being asked? And then Fortune was like, no, you're allowed to speak, Avery. I was like, thank you. But
so
it's fine.
So you shouldn't get up and say, my pizza's here.
Yeah. We have had a lion who basically, ran into court and went, Your Majesty, the showers have hot water, and ran out because he could, I haven't done that yet, but it's been kind of tempting sometimes,
You got events coming up, so might as well set goals.
Yeah, exactly. But
I think having hot water in Ansteorra right now would be a great thing.
I would love to have hot water right now. Solar showers are good, and it's better than nothing. But when the hot water heater is fixed, I'm gonna probably stand there for a good hour, just like, oh yes. Yeah, TMI. Sorry.
I didn't need that mental image. But thank you.
No worries.
So basically, the order holds a very special and unique place within the kingdom, and as you say, it's the one named people. The one that's like Cher. When I say Cher, she would be a lion.
Exactly. It's the other part of it is that it doesn't carry any rank. It's non-armigerous. Somebody has an AOA, and now granted, there are no lions who don't have all sorts of other things, because it's people who've been around who have you know, the reason why you're made a member of the Order of the Lion is because you've done all sorts of other stuff as well. But technically, that award alone doesn't count for anything as far as rank or precedence or whatever. But on the other hand, there are a very large percentage of the kingdom that's the be all and end all award. That's the one that says, "Oh yeah, you're part of us. You are." I had someone once describe it as, they're the people that if they're gone, you notice a hole. That things aren't right if that person isn't around. And it's weird, you know, because Laertes and I met years ago when he was still in Ansteorra. I think you were still a cadet officially at that point. And you were the second White Scarf I ever saw made. So Lay than you were the first two I saw made. And we were kids, and it was silly, and those people with all those awards, they were over there, and now we are them. And what did we do wrong? I mean,
we outlasted the others.
Yeah, that's it. There you go. That must be it.
So, speaking about outlasting other guys, let's bring Bjorn in. I'm working on my transitions.
I noticed earlier they were brilliant. I'm impressed.
And have him ask.
Thank you so much, Master. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about the Lions of Ansteorra, Defenders of the Dream. Now, I too started in Ansteorra, as we've talked about, and I've had the great fortune to know several members of the order, and they have been exactly what you're describing. They embody the personification of doing the thing the correct way. But I wanted to ask you, because I've only seen one made, and I don't know if this is true or not, but when the new lion was made, several of the members of the order came up to that person, and they sort of, let's see if I can do this in this, they sort of did this with their hands down the center of that person's chest. Is that a greeting, like claws or a paw?
That is the idea. Honestly, I hadn't noticed it until they were doing it to me, because sometimes I can be a little oblivious. And yeah, that is the greeting to the new member, is you rake their chest, and depending on who it is, you may rake to the side on the arm so you don't get slapped. But yeah, it is a that is the greeting, combined with, you suddenly start being given one of the other lions gave me an absolutely adorable stuffed lion, little baby one, and it's like, here, you're the baby lion, you get one of these. And the other thing, because they can make lions whenever during their reign, but you only get one. The other thing that is, the baby lion is the one who meets the crown prince when he comes into court and issues what is referred to as the challenge, which is, figure out how you want to phrase it, but basically, what gives you the right to claim the crown? Who do you think you are? And you have to satisfy the lions that you deserve to be crowned. And it can be as simple answer. We've had crowns who basically their answer was, by the laws of this kingdom, I won the tournament, therefore I am the rightful crown, or the rightful heir to the throne. And then there's some who go totally into shtick, and want to do, a lot more with it. And it can be scripted or not. Connell and Miguel were the crown that made me a lion during their third reign. Their second reign, their coronation was, Coronation the musical, and it was scripted, and there was song and the whole 9 yards, including the challenge. So you can go all the way from very basic to completely over the top. But at some point, the lions basically, and generally it's the baby lions say, "All right, who do you think you are? Why should we let you be? Why should we let you be king?" And it's kind of an interesting feeling. I jumped in at the wrong time because I was still kind of brain had exploded at that point, and I got a little bit of warning. It was like, "Okay, you're going to do this." Sure, let me try and remember. And I actually came in just a little bit early, and the queen to be basically turned to me and went, "Not yet." "Yes, ma'am." Yeah, so it's fun.
Excellent. One of the things I wanted to ask is, so it is a non-Omegas award. It is in some other kingdoms, those non-Omegas awards are considered orders of humility. Without trying to put words in your mouth or have you speak either glowingly of yourself or in a deprecating manner, could you explain if you feel that the Lions of Ansteorra are an order of humility?
Very much so, actually. It is very, you have to have an ego the size of Vermont to not be kind of blown away at that moment when they say, "Hey, we're making you a lion." And I'll talk a good game and be silly about things, but at the end of the day, I'm still there. There's part of you, and I have very good friends who have also been made lions, who we've talked, and it seems to be sort of a universal reaction of, "That was my name, really? Wait, is there somebody else with that?" Because I think part of why people get named to be lions is because it is, and this is my take. I am not speaking for the order, and I know there are people who are going to disagree, but they can deal with it. I look at it from the point of view that lions are, and I know that's kind of a vague way of phrasing it, but it's not. When I think of people who I consider a lion of Ansteorra, it is not the people who put on a persona or pretend to be something. That what you see when you deal with that person is utterly real and true. I sometimes joke where, I was a theater major, and there's there's acting lessons. They talk about, you have two different types of actors. You have the people who are putting on a character and they are pretending to be something, and they can be very, very, very good at pretending to be someone else. But then there's those people that there's not a difference there. They're always them. And to me, that's what lions are, is they are who you see. And it doesn't matter if I'm Avery or if I'm Sean. The difference between the two people is Avery wears different clothes than Sean does, usually. But and we may talk about different subjects, but I'm always me. And the other lions that I really respect, that I want to be like, are exactly the same way. If I'm dealing with Pug, I am dealing with Pug. Doesn't matter what he's wearing, what we're talking about. If I'm dealing with Octavia, the same thing. If various, Kale, Robert, again, there's that whole list of people. They're real, and they're genuine. That to me is the biggest thing about the lions, is they don't put on a persona. They don't pretend to be something else. What you see is truth, is accurate. And I think, modern society, on some, that's part of it. I think the reason why why most of us joined the SCA was that there was this feeling of ethics and behavior that we just didn't find in our regular lives. And in the SCA, you can, if somebody gives you their word, okay, you're going to take them at their word, because we are all assumed, until you prove otherwise, everyone is honorable. And I hate saying it, like you said, it feels like self-aggrandizement sometimes, but to me, when I look at the other lions of Ansteorra, that's is the genuineness. I jokingly said, after I was made a lion, because Colin McGill, their second reign, which was 10 years earlier, they were the ones. Colin was the one who put this scarf on my arm. She made me a Don of Ansteorra. And a couple days after I was made a lion, I wrote to Connell and Miguel, and I told them, 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, I guess at that point, you gave me a hill to climb. You said, we expect you to be able to live up to this. And part of, I think, that a lot of people don't realize is, whenever you get whatever award it is in the SCA, it's not a stopping point. It's a recognition of, okay, now you can go to the next thing. We want more from you. It's not a gift watch for doing something. It's, we think you can do this job better. And, getting my white scarf was, okay, there's a big hill in front of me now. Getting my lion is suddenly you stand in front of frickin' Everest. And, the idea is you're never going to climb the mountain. There's always something to try and do better. And what I thought was a daunting task in front of me to live up to all the other white scarves I'd seen before is nothing compared to, wait, I got to live up to the legends? Are you high? Okay, well, I'll do my best. And honestly, that's what I feel like most other people who've been made lions. That's sort of that generic feeling, is there's that moment of, oh, now I got to do more. Oh, bloody hell. And then you do your best.
To be fair, I think that the people that our crowns embody, that they think embody our respective kingdoms, or our society as a whole, they are the folks that we all want to be more like. And I want to take this opportunity to say thank you so very much for coming onto the program and letting us know, because Laertes and I both started in Ansteorra, and the lions were very much a thing. And I feel that embodiment of what it is to be a society member and someone who carries their honor forward is just a thing that we all should strive for. And now we have those beacons to look upon. And I wanted to thank you for being one of them for Ansteorra and for the rest of us.
Thank you. I every day I still go, okay, it's not really real, but it's an honor to be here. To be as nice as I can, having been the kingdom seneschal of a kingdom when all of this explosion and weirdness happened. Things like what you and Laertes have done with this program are major reasons why we as a society still exist. Thank you so much for doing this. We need to be reminded that there's this game that we all used to play together. And there were wonderful people that we miss, and hopefully soon we'll be able to see him again. But you guys doing what you're doing is one of the major reminders of that. It is my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Master. I appreciate it.
And now
if I gotta. Yeah.
Pay your dues. So Bjorn, what game are we going to play
Master
with
Avery's
Avery?
game tonight is Lions and Tigers and Bears.
Fabulous.
Oh my! So as you were warned, we tend to play a trivia game with our guests that's kind of related to what we've been talking about. So this really isn't. But anyway, so I'm gonna give you a mythical creature, and you're gonna tell me whether it's in one of the Wizard of Oz books or not. So these are mythical creatures from literature or entertainment, and you have to tell me whether it is from the Wizard of Oz
Sure, I've read
or not. Are you ready
at
for
least
this?
3 of them 40 years ago. Why not? Oh, good. There we go.
Oh, there's lots of pictures. You'll be fine. And I'll explain some of them because they're
Baum
just
was a
so messed
really
up.
interesting name.
How about the Hungry Tiger? Is the Hungry Tiger in Oz or not?
I vaguely remember. I'll say yes.
Oh, that
Yay!
is correct. Now, what was special about the Hungry Tiger is he developed a good friendship with the Cowardly Lion, and it would be almost heartwarming if the tiger wasn't always talking about how badly he wants to eat babies. And basically, that's all he talks about is eating small children.
Cool.
So that's good. How about a roc, R-O-C, roc?
They are a mythical creature. Were they in Oz? I think so. For some vague reason, I think they actually put it into, there was the other Oz movie that came out in the mid 80s, and I think there was a roc in there.
I think you're thinking of a Gnome King guy who was a big roc, but no. The roc is an Arabic fairy tale.
Well then.
And it's a giant bird of prey that could snatch an elephant from the ground.
Yes.
So, there you go. How delicious is that? How about Scoodlers?
Sure. It sounds perfectly like something Frank L. Baum would, a name that he would use. So we'll say yes.
Okay, so a Scoodler, you are correct. A Scoodler are creepy flesh eaters made out of all sorts of mixed up artificial body parts. Plus, their heads can spin around and detach. They obsess over cooking and devouring strangers in soup. So yes, parents, go out and rent these books for your kids.
Yes, these are definitely children's entertainment.
A couple more. Tad Cooper.
No, maybe.
That's correct. Tad Cooper's the dragon in Gallivant.
Okay.
Which you've never seen Gallivant. You have to watch it.
I have heard wonderful things. One of these days, I may actually do so.
How about a rack? We had a rock. How about a rack? R-A-K.
Sure, why not?
Yes, actually, it's a creepy bat-winged monster that is only half visible because its body is a furnace that sends out massive clouds of black smoke. And you'll be surprised about that. Oh, there's one right there.
Yes.
It also takes great pleasure in crushing soldiers and talking about eating them. So I see a recurring theme on the creatures.
Uh-huh.
Last one. Let's see if we can get this.
Go for it.
Pontianak.
No, for no particular reason.
It's a female spirit of a woman who died while pregnant in Indonesia and Malaysia. It comes back at the full moon to feast on the bodily organs of her victims. So it could have been in a Oz book, just what she likes to do.
Exactly. They would have fit in very well with the rest of them.
So if you like eating creatures and people and stuff, hey, the Oz books are for you.
Yeah.
You only missed one. So
yay!
You should add that to your SCA resume.
I was going to add it to my mundane resume. So, hey.
I think Bjorn said basically everything I wanted to say. So thank you for your time, my friend. It's been too long. We've been in communication over Facebook for the past few years, commiserating and sharing notes on stuff. I appreciate you taking the time, not only then, but for tonight to come in and talk about a very unique order in your kingdom and sharing your perspective on it. I do appreciate it.
Thank you. And as I said to Bjorn, Laertes, thank you both for what you're doing. It's good to be reminded that there's friends out there that we miss. Guys, be safe.
Hey, you too. Hey, keep warm and hopefully get some hot water soon.
Yeah, well, hot water's great. Warm is fine. I went out and went for a walk in shorts and a t-shirt today because it was freaking 70.
Yeah, it was 80 here, but
anyway,
we'll see you later, Avery. Thanks.
Bye.
That was fun.
My
main thing is man, that Frank L. Baum was a messed up dude.
It was very glad to see Avery and I just the Lions growing up, that was like the thing. That was, and I think our Ordo Cordis is very similar. I think those people also are who they are at all times. And although we only have 4 so far, but we definitely have many people in Caid who personify what it is to be Caidan and
Mhm.
a noble member of the society. And so I suspect our award will continue to grow with august and amazing personages as we move forward. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, and I certainly plan to circle back after we've kind of done a tour of the known world and speak to a member or two of the order to see what it means to them, because it really is on the ground floor, getting off on its feet and establishing itself. So that'll just be a good opportunity. So who do we have coming up for our party performance?
We are extremely fortunate in that we have a returning bardic guest. Viscountess Syele Thorsdottir from the Kingdom of the West has graciously consented to come back and perform for us again. Since we had mentioned her with our guests last week, it seemed only fitting that we also have the Viscountess back to regale us again, and also just an opportunity for those folks that missed her the first time around to get a chance to hear her lovely voice.
Right, it's great to have her back. So let's bring her on. She has been patiently waiting in the midst of the West, and now here she is.
Hello,
Hello,
everyone. Hello,
welcome back.
Master Laertes. Thank you. It is indeed, it's only slightly misty. It's not nearly as misty as it was last week. So we had a lovely sunny day here in the West Kingdom, and I'm excited to be here with you this evening.
And just remind people where you are in the West Kingdom.
Yeah, so I'm actually within the barony of the Westermark, which is mundanely San Mateo, California. So I'm just kind of in between San Francisco and San Jose.
Oh, nice.
It's a very easy drive to get to Great Western, which is one of my favorite wars.
Oh, well, mine too. So, last time we kind of talked about how long you've been in and all that kind of stuff. One thing we didn't touch on. Now, you write a lot of the pieces you perform. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
So, can you talk about just briefly how you're inspired to come up with a piece? Do you have a process, or how does that really work?
It really depends. A lot of what I write are celebration pieces, which obviously I love celebrating. But they're oftentimes for a very specific reason, like someone getting their peerage, someone being elevated to the crown or coronet of their kingdom or principality, things of that nature. So I really draw a lot from personal relationships that I have with the folks who have asked that of me. But I've also written for principalities and baronies, written anthems for them. So for me, I draw a lot of inspiration from really getting to know my subject matter and understanding what it is that makes that place, that kind of that place. One of the pieces I'm going to be doing tonight for you actually is a really great example of that type of inspiration. So when I kick that off, I might answer your question a little bit in better detail.
Okay, well, now that you mentioned it, let's go ahead and can you tell us about the first piece you're going to perform
Absolutely.
tonight?
Yeah, so I was super excited to tune in last week because you had one of my absolute favorite people on the planet, Duchess Mora, as your guest. And one of the things that I have been honored to do is be part of the Valkyrie Rose tournament at Great Western War. And last year, not last year, sad face, last time we were all together in person at the war, it was the 10th anniversary. And the original song that I performed was a song that I wrote in honor of Duchess Colfina, who started the tournament and was my very dear friend. However, at 10 years, I felt like perhaps the tournament had gotten to a point where it perhaps deserved its own song and its own kind of challenge to the fighters who came out to the field that day, reminding them of what we were really asking of them as roses at that tournament. By the way, thank you, Caid, for being so kind to invite all of the Viscountesses to join you. You are all amazing, wonderful women and gentlemen, people, I should say, and I really appreciate that. So I couldn't think of what it was going to be. And I actually ended up writing the song at about 1 a.m, the night before the tournament, after spending the most amazing afternoon and evening of wandering around the war, meeting friends, meeting new friends, performing at various camps. just really being part of the war, being around the people of Caid, being around some of my fellow roses. And it just, that was where the inspiration came from. Sometimes it really is just like lightning. So the first piece I'd like to perform for you this evening is called The Rose's Call. And this is the song that was written for the Valkyrie Rose Tournament. I call to those to whom chivalry is all. I speak in the name of the rose. I call to all whose virtue is as worthy as those whom the Valkyries chose. Hold forth your banner and fight now with honor. Show through your deeds that your worth shall hold true. Let grace be your keyword, faith be your north star. Always remind your rose why they chose you. Courtesy speaks much more softly than valor, but deeds hold much more weight than words. Let your sword song ring to honor the roses. Let chivalry be the loud message that is heard. Hold forth your banner and fight now with honor. Show through your deeds that your worth shall hold true. Let grace be your keyword and faith be your north star. Always remind your rose why they chose you. Those who have left us serve now as examples, shining a light to what's true and what's right. Look to the Valkyries and honor your consort. Prove now your worth with both wisdom and might. Hold forth your banner and fight now with honor. Show through your deeds that your worth shall hold true. Let grace be your keyword, faith be your north star. Always remind your rose why they chose you.
Oh, so wonderful. Thank you for
you.
sharing that.
Of course.
Yeah, the Valkyrie Rose Tourney has a special place in my heart too. So I knew Golfina from her very first practice here in Caid.
Really?
And she actually fought for me as her consort in Crown, the last Crown she fought in. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
I'm going to need a moment. So why don't you go ahead and talk to us about the second piece?
I'm so sorry. I did not mean to make you need a moment, but it's a special place for all of us. So the second song that I have for you tonight is actually another part, I think, of inspiration is much like Master Avery was talking about, kind of those people, like, don't be that guy, be that guy, right? Some people you run into in your SCA career, your SCA journey, and they are one of those people for you, the people who are always in your corner and the people who are always there to inspire you, and who believe in you even when you don't believe in yourself. And sometimes you're lucky enough to see something really cool happen to them. And sometimes you get to be a part of it. So I'm not going to say what it is. I'm going to just start singing it and hope that that inspirational person is here listening. All that is gold doesn't come from the earth. Some precious metals are a good soul's worth. All silver treasure doesn't come from the ground. Some of life's greatest gifts are made of sweet sound. Silver is her tongue, all homage to her sing. A laurel of the west, our cat comes to her king. First comes La Serena, the caller on the waves, the singer of the greatest deeds of any journey day. Beware the siren song, for when it echoes o'er the land, any blessed to hear it is enchanted by her hand. Silver is her tongue, all homage to her sing. A laurel of the west, our cat comes to her king. Next comes the raven girl who flies on darkest wings. Praise to the black swan, her first songs did sing. A raven full of memory, of strength and wit and thought, known also as a pelican for service that she sought. Silver is her tongue, all homage to her sing. A laurel of the west, our cat comes to her king. Now comes the wolf, the stalker of the night. All can see the glory of her fierce and primal might. A master to her core, here Loki's child stands before the western throne to take her wreath from Thorfinn's hands. Silver is her tongue, all homage to her sing. A laurel of the west, our cat comes to her king. And that was the Laurel Processional for Mistress Katla Loki Ulfsdottir, who has also been a guest on your show.
I think she might have to be watching this evening. That was amazing. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and bring Bjorn in and just have a brief little chat. Look at that grin.
Well, the song is amazing. The person about whom the song was written is one of my dearest friends and an amazing artisan and servant to the SCA, not just to the West Kingdom, but to the SCA. And your song of praise and recognition is so amazing for such an amazing person. And thank you for sharing your gift with us this evening. That was fantastic.
Absolutely. It's a joy to be here. And it was a joy to, as terrifying as it was when I was trying to write it. I mean, I think songs are like, I think sometimes the art is sort of also like, when I think of you folks and your fencing, right? You know, sometimes you maybe have that opponent and you're like, oh God, I have to fight that guy. It's like, oh God, I have to write a song for Cat. Like, I'm going to do it, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be tricky. It's going to take a lot of practice and a lot of refinement. So I was very honored to be a part of that. And I'm honestly honored to be here with you. I have to echo everything that Master Avery said. Thank you for being a part of what keeps us all together.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you. And, one of the main things I think is for the show is the opportunity to highlight performers we wouldn't normally see, and for you to share your gift with people you normally wouldn't be able to have in front of you in front of a fire. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. I know it's not ideal talking to a piece of glass with a headset and a mic right here, but
we make it work.
And as always, you're always welcome to come back yet again, because I think we're going to be around for a little while.
Anytime you guys need me, I'd be happy to come and help out.
Sounds fantastic. I will hold you to that.
I know you will.
Have a great rest of your evening and the rest of the week. Thank you again. Have a good night.
You too.
That was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Excellent song, but an excellent person. So,
yes. So nice. Well, that wraps up our show again for this week. Really a good show. And man, my transitions are getting better and better.
You really are rocking those. I have to say, I'm very impressed.
I know. It's those years of practice. So next week, we're going to continue this looking at unique and special awards within different kingdoms. We're going to move just a little bit further east and go to the Kingdom of Meridies. We'll be speaking with Sir Griffin about the Order of the Chalice of Meridies, which even has its own unique set of privileges and how the order operates within that kingdom. So
I am very fortunate to know most of the members of the Chalice, and they, just as the lions are personifications of the nobility of Ansteorra, I would say the exact same thing about the Order of the Chalice for the Kingdom of Meridies. And Griffin is a very, very, very dear friend, and we've known each other a long time. I'll say it now, just so people can bring it up again. The very first time I was knocked out of a crown tournament, Griffin did it. So
knocked out of or knocked out at?
Well, I was driven to the ground. Griffin is, those people in Caid, listen carefully. Griffin is bigger than me. You know Bjorn. Griffin is taller than me. He is a true Meridian. He is Meridian size. So when I say I get driven to the ground, yeah, that's what that means. And we get to see him next week. I'm excited.
Ah, and who do we have for Bardic performance next?
The Bardic performance is going to be interesting because we're either going to have something pre-recorded from someone from Locock who,
Oh, awesome.
if they were to do it live with us, it would actually be 2 p.m. Tuesday for them. And so the logistics of that might mean we would have a pre-recording, or we will have one or two other folks. I'm working on the Locock thing, but the logistics are such that it might not quite happen, but fingers crossed we'll get there.
Oh, well, we will have someone next week.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So Bjorn, thank you once again. It was good seeing you this week, my friend.
Good to see you again, as always.
And everyone else, thank you for joining us, and be sure to come back next week when once again we will be live
from Caid.
from Caid.